Perfect. Thank you so much. It's 4 o'clock and I cannot wait any longer. This is just such an exciting moment for all of us. I mean, we are bringing Intersect online, first of all. I mean, this is the first time ever in our 2.5 year history in the Intersect community that we are hosting a virtual festival now. Those of you who have attended our annual event in February for the last almost 3 years now, you would be aware that this is Intersect has fast become one of the most important community bridging the gap between industry and academia. We just have hosted our fifth annual conference in Feb, and Sourav sir was there. For those of you who may be not aware, Mr. Sourav Sinha is the principal of Mayo College Ajmer, and he did a fantastic talk on the boarding schools and the hidden curriculum that they have. And I think if you have not checked it out, or if you are not there in person, you should definitely check that out on our YouTube channel. I think that is one of the most liked videos that I have out of the 50 videos that we have put there. And I'm so happy for the virtual festival. Before I introduce Sourav sir and the subject, I want to take 30 seconds to introduce why we are doing this virtual festival. Ever since we completed the fifth annual conference in February, there was a lot of demand that, because of the size, we could only accommodate about 150 delegates from 15 countries. There was constant demand that we would like to engage more. We would like to learn more from the stalwarts that were part of that conference, and even earlier speakers that have been part of Intersect since last 2.5 years. The earlier 4 conferences, we would love to engage with them. So I am so happy on behalf of the Intersect team that we were able to pull this off. There is a team of 10 people. I mean, I want to call out to all those 10 people working behind the scenes, my digital team, my marketing team, my operations team. That is going to make this happen over the course of next 1 month, whole of May. Every Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., we will have one stalwart coming in and speaking 30 minutes on a subject that is a very, very relevant topic for all of us working in the education sector. So every Thursday, this is the inaugural session, and that is why I requested Sourav sir to come and do this inaugural session for this virtual festival, because one of the things that really, out of all the wonderful things that he told me that day in his talk, I think one of the things that stuck really close to my heart and was the hidden risk that schools can't ignore on our kids, being in the digital space. And Sourav sir touched upon that subject where he mentioned in his talk that, boys as young as in grade 4 are being exposed to pornographic content, and he has to deal with that on a constant basis at his school. I think I could not have asked for a better speaker to start this virtual festival. And without taking much more time, I just want to set a context. 60 seconds, I want to refer to a report that UNICEF came out in Feb of 2026. I'll just add 60 seconds from that report, some data points, and then we'll go over to Sourav sir. Just give me a second. So this is a report by UNICEF India and UNESCO Regional Office for South Asia, which was released in Feb of 2026. It says that the rapid advancement of digital technologies has promoted the Indian government to make comprehensive digital learning initiatives a priority, recognizing the transformative role of education technology in closing gaps in education systems. The National Education Policy 2020 sets the stage for this shift by promoting digital literacy, leveraging disruptive technologies and tools, and ensuring equitable access to education. Initiatives like Digital India and the National Digital Education Architecture exemplify India's digital-first strategy, supporting both learning outcomes and administrative efficiency in schools and universities. However, as education systems introduce digital technology and platforms for teaching and learning, and access to internet outside schools increases among children, there is an unprecedented scale of deployment simultaneously introduce risks that may affect our children's protection and safety, because the kids are not only using the digital devices inside the classroom, but more so outside of the classroom. India's education policy framework acknowledges the importance of digital safety, but implementation remains fragmented. The National Education Policy emphasizes digital literacy and integration of technology. The Pragyata guidelines provide a roadmap for digital education and place a cap on daily screen time. This is very important. The government of India Pragata guidelines recommend that no more than 2 sessions of 30 to 45 minutes each should be given to class 1 and 8 kids. Students from grade 1 and 8 kids should only have digital access for about 30 to 45 minutes. And for grades 9 to 12, it can go up to 2 hours, not more than that. But as per the ACER report, which is one of the premier reports that we all refer to, ACER report 2024 mentions that 89.1% of adolescents aged 14 to 16 report having a smartphone with them, with 76% primarily using these devices for social media, and only about less than 50% are using it for educational purposes. Now, this is where I stop. I mean, the teachers can, maintain quorum in their classroom, ensure that the digital devices are being used as per the guidelines. But what happens outside of the classroom? Then these kids are not in the ambit of the classroom. So, Sourav sir, I mean, what concerns you more today as a school leader? Misinformation, addiction, social media pressure, or emotional isolation? Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be in your conference earlier this year, and I'm happy to be on this inaugural podcast discussion as well. So that's all of these things will concern everyone at some stage. I think all of them go into essentially emotional isolation is the outcome, really. It's a result of not stopping things when they should be stopped. But really, I think the challenge really is that we are exposing children to too many things which are not age appropriate. And, I mean, a lot of people talk about this generation and, kind of are judgmental about them, but I'm not really. It's not their fault at all. I mean, if our generation had access to all this, we would have been indulging in it as well. I mean, I think that the real problem has been that the rapid evolution of social media over the last 16, 17 years has been so rapid that nobody really understood that there may be repercussions of it. I think the discussions only started 10 years, 11 years into it, I mean, and why children? I mean, frankly speaking, adults are as addicted to it as anybody else. I had to actually consciously uninstall Instagram from my phone, because and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I mean, I was getting hooked. I was just watching reel after reel, and if at this age I can fall for it, then these poor children they've woken up to this world, So I think we keep focusing on educational institutions and schools. I don't think this is a school problem. It's a parenting problem and it's a societal problem. The analogy I always give is that it's like we've given a loaded gun to our children, right? And then we're surprised when they shoot themselves or shoot someone else with it. So all this, all the online bullying, shaming, or feeling bad about oneself, always falling short of some unrealistic image which is being purported out there now with the AI even more so. These are challenges which really need to be looked at seriously, not just as a passing, because it's going to really impact the generations to come. And I'm glad that a lot of every country now is beginning to look at it. At least there's no easy solution, but at least we have to identify the problem and start finding our way around it.
Absolutely. And I think I love it when you say this is not only a school problem, it is a parenting problem, a society problem. And I think absolutely I have uninstalled Instagram on a couple of occasions because I have felt myself. And when I go to my classroom here in Jindal, I'm sitting today in Jindal because I have classes in the evening where I am teaching about 100 kids, a couple of courses. I tell them this only, that this is not a problem, your problem, this is my problem also. And when I am on that device, I don't know where 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes go. And then I consciously, because I have some gray hairs on my head, I can understand, okay, this is the problem that I have to deal with. But a teenager, and you mentioned the real world experience that you had in your, I would love for you to also share that. But early adults, early adolescents, 10 years, 11 years old kids, they don't know. And second thing, sir, I want to bring in here is this constant. I think you're absolutely correct. If internet and social media was in our age when we were kids, we would have been equally disturbed and equally, injured by this technology, because
Yes.
there is this constant urge. If the algorithms work in such a way that there is this constant urge that you have to post something every second day. If you are not posting it, probably you are losing out on the cat race. I talk to a lot of youngsters here in Jindal, there in university. They feel, sir, if we do not do it and there is no escape from it, I have to do it because I want to do it for professional reasons. But how do we manage? And I think this is the absolute right thing that you mentioned. We need to teach them. And I think we talk about cyber safety, cyber security. A lot of institutions and schools and universities host classes for their students on cyber security, cyber safety. But I think we fast need to come up with a course on how to use social media consciously. I mean, and I would love to, I would love to now bring in your perspective on, do you think schools today are dealing more with digital behavior issues than purely academic issues? I mean, you are one of the leading schools in the country, I think, if not the top 10, one of the top 10 schools, if not on the top 5, and you're a boarding school. And I'm sure with being a boarding schools, you have more challenges in terms of, I'm not saying the day schools have less, but yes, absolutely, you are responsible for what happens after the classroom hours too. So what do you think, sir? Are schools also facing, the classroom teachers also facing the effects of the online world in real world?
Well, I mean, actually, we face much less problem because when for 8 months of the year, our students are on digital detox, really. I mean,
yes, you mentioned
they
that.
manage to, I mean, you see, that's what the technology, you find a solution, and they find a solution to your solution. So that's a cat and mouse game that we play with youngsters who are very tech savvy. But by and large, I mean, and it's very, very sparse, their interaction on social media. And a lot of my students, keep asking me about it. And, the only answer I really have is that you'll appreciate it at some later stage, because
God bless you.
So we
you have a no device policy, right? I remember you were
no
telling
device. We don't have any smartphones on campus.
Smartphones, yeah.
And we try to protect through firewalls, and I think we're fairly good at it. But like I said, it's not completely foolproof, and I'm okay with that. A little bit of usage of social media is fine, but it's extremely restrained. And I think what that does is it allows our children to be able to actually interact on a human basis. So I think the difference really in our generation and the next one is that because we had many years till I was well into my adult life when social media came along. But this generation of people who are now 17, 18, they've never known a world without it. So I think these are the formative years where it's like anything else, right? If you have a glass of water, there's only so much quantity. Now you can either have depth or you can have breadth. So when you want to have 1,000 friends, then that's why you see so many so-called close friends of this generation sitting around, and each one is just looking at their screen and talking to someone else somewhere far away. So I mean, I think you sacrifice depth, and I have a lot of conversation with children as well, and I think they there's only world they know, so you got to appreciate that. But I think there is I think that guidance has to happen. It's not so much about doing a course, really. It's something, right? And parents and institutions and legislation all have to take this seriously and work in a way which is not denying the technology to them, but kind of at least being able to protect them from things which they don't know are harming themselves. I mean, it's completely natural for 13, 12, 13, 11, even maybe year-old kids to want to do something that they're not being told to. Then there's the whole peer pressure because everybody else is doing it. So I think unless there is a consensus amongst parents and a consensus amongst society that this is not acceptable, I think it's going to be very difficult, because otherwise the child gets ostracized for not being part of that whole network as well. So
network.
So it's a catch-22 really. Yeah.
Yeah, I think students are confusing, I mean, they want online visibility, they think online validation, which is leading to a lot of problems. And there is then another whole industry that has sprung up, based on what I say, the incentivizing the wrong attractions that
Correct.
people can have. I mean, we
You know,
talk
and my
about,
concern is, where does that leave the introvert, right? Or
yeah,
the slightly reticent, not completely
yeah,
introvert, but not a complete extrovert. Now they're
yeah,
feeling obliged to push themselves onto a stage which they're not comfortable with, right? I mean, earlier even in you have people who develop later. Some are quiet earlier, some start talking, become more confident in college. But now there's this whole pressure, so kids are feeling less than if they're not doing this, and
that
again,
absolutely,
and they're
absolutely.
children. So I mean, where is the adult control in this, and where is the guidance? So I mean, what we do actually is that we do a lot of sessions to house masters, through a counseling team. I have a chat with them in smaller groups and in bigger groups, just going on repeating the message. Now, I think they may not agree with you all the time, and that's understandable. But at least they get a perspective that there is something there which isn't right with this whole thing. So I think constant conversation is really really the key to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll just say this. I mean, as it is, they are under so much pressure. I mean, they are having, I mean, I'm talking about school kids, teenagers. I mean, they are undergoing psychological changes, physical changes, and then they have this whole identity crisis of they are finding their voice, and then we have this competition on in terms of doing well academically, doing well at extracurricular and sports, and responsibilities of the. I mean, sometimes it can feel very overburdening, and then digital, and then having on top of it a digital presence in the right way. I mean, I sometimes I face that. I mean. Let's come to this question. Do you think the parents understand the challenges that their kids are facing? I mean, is there a need for?
I don't think so completely, and that's not their fault. Parents are usually the last people to get to know, because if something is wrong, well, having said that, there are a lot of parents who have that kind of communication now with children, which wasn't so in our generation. But at the same time, I mean, the desire to protect your child is so strong that sometimes these unintentionally, these kind of walls
Yeah,
or hurdles to communication are created with your child. And I have seen a lot of children really, just because they don't want to see that disappointment in their parent, they don't want to see a worry in their parent, so they don't say what's on their mind. Because I mean, uh, it's that's where the school can really come in as well. I know
yeah,
it's challenging for day schools because they have such a packed schedule. I've worked in day schools as well, and teachers are traveling great distances and coming and then teaching. There's workload, there's lesson planning, and there's this, there's that, all that. But it has, there has to be a concentration. I don't know how that's going to be effective, but there are lots of schools who are doing some really good work on this. And I mean, I think it's we don't have to give up. We have to just keep trying. It'll keep increasing in gradual increments, I think. But if we're at it, I think we'll find a solution, or at least mitigate the harm, the potential damage that can be done.
absolutely. I mean, I just want to bring in the audience as well. Please, I mean, there are about 34 people in the audience. Please feel free to put in your questions. We have Sourav sir with us only for next 11 minutes. At 4:30, we'll have another distinguished speaker coming in. So please make ensure that you make full use of sir's time here. Please put in your questions or comments or feedback, anything that you're doing at your schools to tackle this problem. Please feel free to do that, because we have a very, very tight schedule today. Just wanted to bump that in, that if anybody has something that to share or ask, please put that in the chat box. And Sourav sir, I just want to then talk about your specific institution at Mayo. I mean, if you can talk about some steps that you are taking, or one step that you think you have taken that has worked really well, that we can maybe the community can learn from.
Well, I mean, just banning smartphones to start off with, really. I mean, that's a huge one. Again, it's easier for us because we are privileged enough to not have to give in to parental pressure. I think a lot of day schools particularly suffer from that parental pressure because of various financial economic reasons, I guess. We don't have that. But along with that, it's not just enough to just ban something or just
Yeah.
stop. That's just going to create all kinds of new problems. I think communication, particularly with this generation, because they're exposed to a lot more than we were when they were children. So they're much more mature than we were at that age. So, I mean, not to speak down to them, but actually just explain, look, this is what we're trying to do. And they may not agree with you, but I think they'll still respect the fact that there's constant communication, that you respect them enough to at least be able to explain what you're trying to do. And of course, you see, nothing is done in isolation. It's all part of the whole thing. If your entire interaction with them, if your relationship with them is one that they trust that you do care about them, then you go far. It's much easier then to explain things to them, which even if they don't agree, they'll still they'll try and listen to your perspective. Because, like I said, I mean, I try and imagine being in their place, and it's just something which has been there since they were born. So, I mean, they're like, why are we being stopped from it? So that explanation has to happen, and we try to do that quite effectively. I think we have made quite a decent headway. Of course, I mean, like any other teenager, if you gave our children the option, they'd jump onto their smartphones immediately. But I think they have they are beginning to understand why these measures are being taken and what our worries are in regard to this whole social media and things like that.
Absolutely, and I think the world is also now starting to take. I just saw
Are you
this.
Are you looking for some article, because I can see that on the screen over here?
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring this in. I mean, every day now we keep reading about these articles where schools in the West are banning screens. I mean, we heard the news sometime back from Australia, and then I think Sweden, and I think in our country even Karnataka.
So, I'd like to touch upon earlier what you said about screen time, right?
Yeah, please let's talk about this
just quickly. Forget about all these not forget about, but these are we keep talking about these psychological and sort of damages that are being done. I'll tell you an observation, and whoever's in the audience, they can try it out for themselves if they haven't noticed it. When I was in school, I remember in a class of 23, 22 people, there'd be one or two boys with glasses. And we used to who'd wear glasses, right? And we'd call them specky or, stuff like that. Now, I see every third child is wearing glasses from the age of 8, 9, 10. Now, that is also, it's not a coincidence that since screen time has increased over the last 15, 16 years, I haven't got the exact data on this, but I'm sure if someone found out that the number of cases of myopia and whatever other eyesight disorders are happening has increased manifold, and that's a physical thing which you can actually gauge at every level. At least people our generation can, because it was not common. Wearing glasses was not a common thing. The odd person would wear glasses as a child, but now it's rampant. It's pretty much 30-40%. I'd say, yeah. So those obvious damage, the fact that the damage is happening is pretty obvious, really. I mean, we can decide to dig our head in the sand and pretend it's not happening, but it's happening. So parents have a very clear choice. I mean, it's funny because at one level, sometimes some parents will talk about, we don't want our children to have a Coke if they get to know they had a Coke or a Pepsi once in a month or something. And on the other hand, something which is clearly damaging their eyesight at a young age, you don't have the courage to, or the gumption to stop that, because you're worried about what your relationship with your child will be. And that's where these are things which parents have to control, because by the time they come to us also in our school, they're already 9 years old. So a lot of the damage as far as the eyes and everything is concerned is already done.
Yeah. I just want to also talk about, last 5 minutes, I want to talk about the impact that this is having, I mean, we are also talking about AI, right? And the
Yeah.
usage of AI is going up. And I read this book by a PhD scholar in US, and he
Hmm.
came out with this book which says Gen Z, with data he proved, is less intelligent than millennials. uh, how skipping books and doom scrolling are taking a toll on cognitive abilities. And he actually presented this to the US Congress. People can
Yeah.
see this on I'll share the link. This is just a 4-minute video, 5-minute video, where he talks about with data and facts how the younger generation that is coming up with under the, we call this iPhone generation, post 2007, they are all not actually, all the other generations have improved on the earlier generations. This is the first generation in a long time that is actually has less IQ than the previous many generations. So we are actually now, the research is also catching up with what is happening with digital devices. I just wanted to bring this in. I will share this in the chat box. But absolutely, what sir is saying is absolutely relevant here. That now the science is catching up with what the teachers and the principals are facing in their classrooms every day. I mean, that's a fact for us. So, sir, I think the last four minutes we have. I mean, I will just come to the final question that we had on our to-do list. If you could change one thing immediately, and there are a lot of educators in the chat uh, about how society approaches children and technology, what would it be?
Well, I mean, it's not. One thing is that there are no that there should not be extremes over here, right? Everything is either a ban or a complete indulgence. You spoke
Yeah,
about AI, and I'm a firm. I mean, I'm using AI a lot these days, and it's really helped me. But
yeah,
again, AI is not a solution; it's a tool. Now, how do you? Why are we not teaching? See, because we can't run away from these things. AI is here to stay, whether we like it or not. We better accept that, right? It is, and it's not going to change over 10 years. It's going to change over the next 10 months.
yeah,
So, what we need to do is really teach our children what to use, control what they're using AI for, how are they using AI, so that there are certain tasks which they may do, but that doesn't uh, come in the way of their learning process, of their it should be something which helps them a little bit, guides them in the right direction. And then again, I mean, we have to correct our assessments in a way where what we're learning is relevant, because I mean, what they're learning is relevant, because the fact of the matter is, a lot of what we're teaching is going to have no significance in a few years from now. We have the same antiquated concepts of learning, and we keep saying new assessment, but we're just testing the same thing, which is information and how you process information. Until we evolve that, it's because children will then realize the relevance of what they're doing. We have to, I mean, we can keep talking about, experiential learning, blah, 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 all that stuff. But essentially, what are the skills? What does skill-based learning actually mean? So if AI can compute better than you, it is going to compute better than you. But what are you going to get
yeah,
computed? What are you going to get computed? And then what are you going to do with that analysis? That is where the human beings will come in. And, I mean, this is a very cliched saying nowadays, but it's a fact that AI is not going to take jobs of everyone. It's going to take jobs of people who don't know how to use AI, or who refuse to use AI to enhance themselves and use it as an escape to kind of get away from the learning. Use AI as a learning tool which can enhance your skills and your learning, and will be fine. But of course, how you do that is a $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion question. But at least that's where we should be looking at, rather than trying to stop and create these artificial silos,
yeah,
because it's not going to work. Kids will always. I mean, I was doing a presentation with my staff just the other day, and this is what I said, that again, based on something I saw in some data I found somewhere, is that most kids, even in India now, are using artificial intelligence for a lot of things, chat GPT and what have you. The only thing is that we think that they're not, and they're not telling us, right? So we may as well accept that and look at a way around it, so that it doesn't come in the way of the actual learning that they're doing. Which means we have to first, teachers have to, it's imperative. And I've given all my teachers in school we shared a guide with them about, we have a big holiday, so spend 3 to 4 hours every week on just getting your AI skills updated week by week, so that unless you know about it, how are you going to help your children, or either guard your children or help them enhance their skills through something you don't know anything about.
Brilliant, sir. Thank you so much. I just want to finish this talk here by sharing my own experience. Last day before yesterday, I had my class presentations. There was a group of students that came up to me and said, "Sir, we want to present right now." And some other groups were I'd given them presentation topics a week in advance. This group came back in just about 2 hours with a wonderful presentation. And if it was humanly, I would have asked them to do it. It would have taken at least 3 to 4 days. In 2 hours, they created a presentation. They presented very nicely, very smartly. And this is. And when I cross-questioned them, okay, tell me what have you written here? This word. That's when they realize, sir, we have used ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. Yeah. So I think we are creating this generation, which is another what you are mentioning. They feel that they know everything, but they just find them under the surface, try to find out what the knowledge level is. There is a problem, and that is that they are the future leaders. So we need to then work with them to ensure that yes, you use Claude, you use ChatGPT, you use Gamma, whatever it is that you want to use to create presentations, but at least apply yourself to what the AI throws at you. I want to go to the comment section. Dr. Akhilesh has mentioned eyesight has direct impact on screens, sir. Yes, absolutely. American Ophthalmology Association has a study which says no screen time till 5 years. I mean, these days, I don't think iPhone generation, they need a phone the moment they are born. I don't think there is anybody that has not used a screen time with a baby. I mean, these days, the parents are giving iPads and iPhones to babies to stop crying and have food. I mean, you would have traveled around, you see at breakfast table, the parents will give a mobile so that kid will eat. I have my own kid, 8-year-old. I mean, we have to force her to not watch phone while eating. So I think this is correct. But Dr. Akhilesh, I mean, there is a problem that we are facing as a society. Garima Sethi, ma'am, I second what Sourav sir is saying, as I work with him at Mayo as a counselor. Perfect. So welcome, ma'am, to the chat. He has always emphasized the importance of being consistent in whatever we do, and that our message should be clear. We should avoid confusing the students. Absolutely. That's why Sourav sir is our favorite. I mean, that's why he is, one person that talks straightforward and, practical things. And I love one of the things I want to finish. I would love about him is that he tackles the problems that we are facing in the real world, in the classroom. And and we are all at Masters Union. We are all about real world, learn by doing. I think Sourav sir and our philosophy match brilliantly. Thank you so much, Sourav sir, for being here
Thank you.
and spending time with us.